Hey everybody, welcome back to Exposed TV. So Jason's been boasting about being on a TV show, and how the producers are just laughing off all the letters they've been receiving, warning them about associating with the stolen valor fake mercenary fraud.
Let's rewind here a bit and explain which TV show Jason is talking about, and how much of an impact his and Moon Cookie's constant lying about Jason being a mercenary CIA agent has just had on his girlfriend's potential TV career. Around June 2017, Fitmisk members spotted Jason in the audience of Tommy's Garage, a small-time but growing political TV show. After examining the show's archives, we found that in February 2017, Jason's female girlfriend Moon Cookie attended the show alone at first, scoped the place out for a couple of weeks, then allowed her cuckboy Blaha to attend. After a nervous start, he got his clapping down pat and started to attend each and every week. Being a former stripper, Moon Cookie knows how to work a crowd and quickly became accepted, while Blaha just sat and watched others visually eat her out. She didn't waste any time, and after a month her name was appearing in the show's ending credits as one of the writers, for hair and makeup, and she even made it onto the panel a few times.
Jason, being the self-deluded, head-ticking weirdo, was just tolerated because of his female girlfriend's involvement with the show.
There's a lot of metaphors in there, just in case you were wondering. Write that. What do you got? Absolutely. Moldy Locks needs to go to prison for a long time. Oh, I like it. Absolutely. Moldy Locks needs to go to prison for a long time. Oh, I like that.
Maybe Hispanic? Maybe? There's a few Hispanics in California,
A couple.
aren't there?
Okay, Rosa goes Hispanic. Señorita Fuego. All right, Gavin goes first. Gavin's going first. Gavin goes New York. Señorita Fuego.
I'm going to take a gamble.
Gavin goes New York. Señorita Fuego.
I'm going to take a gamble.
Oh, nice. That's pretty good.
That's it! That's all I got!
That's fine. Señorita Fuego. That's pretty good.
That's it! That's all I got!
That's fine. Señorita Fuego.
A blue dress needed dry cleaning!
Wow. Big bell and hat.
I got chicks telling me they think I'm ripped in person. What the fuck are you talking about?
While Blaha was being cucked on the show by various people in various ways, Moon Cookie was thriving in her new social circle.
Nice. Brittany was great tonight, wasn't she great? All right.
I'm always good.
She started using hashtags like, "I love my life," and "love what I do," posting photos all proud about being on Tommy's Garage. In a matter of just a couple months, she appeared in the opening credits and became a permanent panelist.
And Brittany Lee with...
In July, detailed emails were sent to the show's producers warning them about Jason and Moon Cookie, touching on things such as the chaos they bring, leeching off others, destroying businesses and relationships, evictions, disowned by parents and family, gotten friends fired from their employment, delusions and deceit, does not have a valid concealed carry license, extensive criminal records, stolen valor, death threats, welfare schemes, and Blaha's claims of being a half-reptilian, Illuminati sex slave, and teenage assassin.
The replies from the producers were one-liners saying things like, "Thank you for your concern. We will look into this matter." Blaha and Moon Cookie thought they had successfully gotten away with stolen valor and breached yet another unexpected group. Jason started helping himself to Tommy's fridge, walking around town like some sort of big shot, laughing it up, not a care in the world, happy as a pig in shit. But then it all came crashing down. Tommy's Garage announced they were going national, a bigger audience, and in August they obtained a new sponsor, Blue Water Seafood. FitMisk members then sent emails to Blue Water Seafood advising them about Jason and Moon Cookie's involvement in stolen valor. Blue Water Seafood's replies mentioned that they are very much pro-military and did not want to be associated with people like Jason Blaha and Brittany Moon Cookie Lee, which in turn forced Tommy's Garage to expedite their concerns to look into this matter. Within a day of these emails, Blue Water Seafood had them kicked from the show. Tommy's Garage concluded that yes, Jason Blaha was guilty of stolen valor, and they banned him and Moon Cookie from their premises. Tommy's Garage co-producer, Matt, made a public comment under Popular Military's Stolen Valor article about Blaha, which said the following: "Upon reading this article and putting two and two together, I have decided to disallow any involvement and ask him to no longer return to our premises. Jason Blaha has been permanently removed from our show." Tommy also replied advising that Blaha is no longer associated with the show, and added, "We asked Blaha to leave, and he did. Interesting. He didn't really put up a big argument. The guilty often don't. His girlfriend Brittany, of course, left also. He then went on to compare them both to lice and rats because it took an extra week to completely eradicate them from the show." Matt then reached out directly to a Fitness member, advising that both Jason and Moon Cookie have been removed from the show, and now knows that Jason is less than scum. He also confirmed that he had to fire Moon Cookie because of her connection with Jason, and also gave a bit of personal insight on Blaha. He said that everyone was creeped out by him, and his story just never added up. Jason has already begun his coping process by deluding himself into believing that he cut Tommy's Garage from his life, so he can finally lose weight and get lean.
Well, I'm down 21 pounds with a successful game plan, and I'm blocking out everyone who tries to give me advice or challenges or anything that could possibly interfere with that goal. I'm cutting people out of my life now who might interfere with that goal.
Jason can never admit that people don't want him around anymore. Even when his first ex-wife divorced him for playing World of Warcraft for 10 hours a day while she busted her ass working overtime shifts at the hospital, he claims that he was the one who dumped her.
After waiting a week to verify for ourselves, we can now confirm that Jason Blaha has been officially cucked by an empty fucking chair. Moon Cookie has also begun her coping process by deluding herself into believing that Tommy's Garage has started to bore her, and she has now upgraded her Thursday nights to something a little more fun. Hashtag winning. We would like to thank Blue Water Seafood for acting swiftly to eradicate the stolen valor fraudster Jason Blaha from Tommy's Garage. If you're ever in Texas, go ahead and stop by a Blue Water Seafood restaurant for some good dining and to give a big thank you.
So, now Moon Cookie can add Tommy's Garage to the list of places Jason has gotten her kicked from, all because of his lies and stolen valor. The list now includes things like she lost her TV spot and the hair and makeup duties from the show. Her family kicked her out and disowned her over Jason Blaha. She has been evicted from 6 apartments, trailers and houses in the past 2 years. She has lost multiple hairdresser jobs. Her friend's salon got shut down because of Jason. She got kicked out of the filmmakers clique she was hanging with around Christmas. She's been kicked out of multiple gun ranges. She's been kicked out of multiple gyms. She had to advertise poverty hair dyeing on Craigslist, and she lost pretty much all of her new friends.
So, will Moon Cookie ever come to her senses and leave Jason? Or will she just continue down the path of lies, delusion, and self-destruction alongside with him? Either way, we will continue marching forward in the pursuit of exposing the fake mercenary, stolen valor fraud.
Hello YouTube, and welcome to the character study on our old boy Hemingway part 7. As you can tell from the date, this episode is a little bit early, and the reason why is it's Christmas. So Menti Christmas to you all. As I promised, I am providing 2 episodes of character study, one on Blowhole and one on Hemingway for this Christmas season. It's going to be a one-off thing, don't think it's going to be something recurrent on the channel, we will be back to once a month afterwards, and we'll continue this series until the work is done. And today, I don't really have anything special. We're actually just going to continue the character study on Blahino. But before I start, I want, in the spirit of the holiday, to help you and give you the chance to reflect on the luck you have in your life and how grateful you should be that you're most likely going to spend Christmas with people you love. You're most likely going to spend Christmas in a place where you feel comfortable. And when that is the case, when that happens, I always think that it's something that we need to cherish, because there are people out there who are going to have Christmas dinner alone, and their dinner table is actually going to be a box that they squat on. They won't actually be able to eat anything because their teeth are too rotten and they can't chew anymore. And because of their actions, they alienated themselves from every single person in their life, and therefore they are destined to end up alone. And since we are not that person, I think that any situation that we might find ourselves in is always a step up. So, that little thing aside, we'll get into it. But first, announcement for the people who were sort of looking for it. All of the previous installments are available, so you can get back and watch them. I ran tests. They are all protected. None of them can be struck, so we're all fine there. And in terms of people who ask me if the episodes could be seen somewhere else, yes, they can, but I'm not going to be the one to upload them. Keep in mind, and that's important, and it goes for the entire channel, that all of my content is public domain, meaning that I do not pursue copyright strikes and I do not own anything. So if you want to re-upload the entire channel, even on YouTube, I don't care. It's up to you. It's none of my problem. And for the videos and the character study is the same. If you're afraid they're going to be taken down, if you're afraid this channel might be deleted, which it might, it's YouTube. One day you might log in and this channel is gone, which, by the way, if that happens, I'm not creating a new one. In that case, if you would feel more comfortable, download the videos and re-upload them on YouTube. You can use the same name, a different name, you can give me credit or not, I don't care, it doesn't matter. So for all and every person who asked, yes, you have the permission, go ahead. That being said, when it comes to actually trying to get the video shut down, it's not necessarily that there was no efforts provided or furnished, because Blowho was really trying hard, but he didn't manage. And so, in a last-ditch effort, in the last video, he used stock accounts. Of course, he couldn't do it himself because he's a coward. He threatened me with legal action. Issue is, I know for a fact that he has never sued anyone on YouTube Fitness for, 5 years, so I know that I'm safe. And for Blowho, I mean, you should know that because you're a grown man, but a threat is only as effective as its conclusion and its execution. Well, if you threaten people for 5 years and nothing happens, people are going to know you're a big phony, which I know. So I'm not afraid of you. I'm going to continue those videos every single month. And you know what? If you keep using the stock accounts and you don't behave properly, I'm just going to up the frequency to, every 3 weeks? I can do that. It doesn't change anything for me. So again, behave. I'm okay with you using stock accounts and having meltdowns in the comments, but within the realm of what is, what is the term? Acceptable. Okay, don't act like a badass. We both know you're a coward and a wimp. So just stay within the realm of what you know best, which is crying about me calling you fat, and stick to that. We'll make fun of you with the other commenters on the channel. You'll provide us with ments, and we'll move on. We'll keep that little tradition going. It's all in good fun, remember? So that's that. Another announcement is that Blowho actually hired someone in my family to destroy the evidence. As you can see from this, there was coffee dropped directly on the documents, but don't worry about it, it wasn't fully destroyed. I was able to salvage most of it, and the person who was hired by the fake mug is going to spend the rest of their time in jail for sabotage, so we're safe. But again, the try with Blowho, always be careful with the fake mug, he always strikes from behind. So that being said, I don't have much to say besides that. We're going to dive straight into it with more of the stuff that I uncovered, more of the lies that Blahino has spread throughout the days, and more ments, as always. So, last week we actually spoke about a ton of stuff. We spoke about the ASMR channel, the philosophy channel, the reason why he started pretending to be a fake Merc. And in terms of introduction today, I want to talk about a certain cabin in Colorado and his living situation as a whole. So for the people who don't know, the living situations of Blahino are extremely well documented, and they of course range from poverty to government assistance, meaning that he's never actually owned a house or property in his life. And I want to make a video recapping the entire timeline of his life. I have the information, I just need to make it, but that might be for later. But in terms of house, we know that he started in the UK, where he lived with a wife. He then moved back to the US, where he spent a certain amount of time living with his sister. And then the sister put him out, so he had to go live with a girlfriend at what I believe was a trailer park. And he actually lived with the grandmother of the girlfriend, that we will also get into. And then he actually managed to move into his quote-unquote own place, which from what we know is actually subsidized by the government as well. And he still lives there to this day. That being said, if you listen to him, he gives a completely different turn of events. And if you actually listen to him, he used to live in a gigantic mansion owned by his parents. And when people told him that it was a little bit strange that he lived with his parents when he was in his 20s, I think even in his 30s, he exclaimed that it was okay because the house was so big that he had a lot of privacy. Of course, that never happened because his parents don't own such a house. What happened, however, is that he lived with his sister, who apparently has a lot of money. But of course, when you're a grown adult, it's always a little bit shameful to say, oh yeah, I actually live with my sister. So he made up another lie. And his latest law, and it's not really the latest one because it's been 2 years in the making, is that he actually is going to purchase a cabin in Colorado. I don't know where this idea came from. With him, it's always something he copied. And so I personally dug a bit, and the one person I can think of that he might have copied for the idea of living in Colorado is Brian Shaw, because I know that Shaw has a big property slap in the middle of Colorado, so I don't know if he thinks that by telling that people are going to connect him with Shaw or something, but his big LARP is that he's going to own a house there, he's going to be able to go hunting, and he's going to actually own a herd of bisons. For someone who couldn't even take care of a dog, I would love to see him take care of bisons, because I have family who takes care of cows. It's already tough enough to take care of cows. I don't imagine how tougher it is for bisons. The big thing and the good news would be that most likely he would get run over at some point because he wouldn't be really, able to assess the situation around him, and one of the bison would just knock him over. One can only hope, but since he'll never actually be able to buy this because he has no money, it's never going to happen. And it's always interesting to see that with people who lie all the time, that they can't just one-up you. They can't just lie above the situation. They want to lie way, way, way on top. And so for him, who's on government assistance, instead of just saying that he makes a decent living but nothing crazy, no, he went straight for I'm a big baller, I make hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I'm going to own a massive mansion in the middle of Colorado. Colorado, which by the way is one of the most expensive states, at least in terms of increase of the property value, because it's extremely hype, quote unquote. People want to move there. So again, insane how someone who's been lying for decades at this point is unable to provide a lie that is actually sustainable. And the funny part too is that he started saying that because people pointed out that he lived in a condo, but the condo was at his name, because you can pretty much access documents and private information on the internet very easily. And therefore, once you find the address where someone lives, you can tell if their name is on the lease or if they actually own that condo. And for him, he doesn't. And yet, he still claims he does for some reason, and he claims it's an office, like a business building that he just bought to make videos. First off, even if that was true, who would do that? Who would be stupid enough to buy a gigantic condo just to lift, to make a gym in the living room, and then record? That's a terrible investment. Plus, if you look at, but that I might not need to say that yet, but again, if you look at the documents where names are supposed to be there for official purposes, it's just not there. And all of that stems from one lie. And that one lie is something that he said to be able to camouflage the fact that he doesn't own a house. And it just devolves into an entire list of other things that he's trying to hide and camouflage. And it's the same for the cars, it's the same for his lifestyle pretty much, because across the board, what we know from him is that he doesn't own a car, he doesn't own a house, and the big thing with Blahino is that he needs to propel his wealth, he needs to show his wealth. He detests the fact and the idea that we know he's broke. And therefore, it's also something that I want you to keep in mind, because it's an argument I'm going to use to showcase more of his lies as we go on. But he's the type of person that if he made, I don't know, $10,000 cash, he would show you the cash. He would make a video with the cash on the table. And if he doesn't do it, it means it doesn't have it. Same for the car. When he used to have cars, he would record himself driving around, or he would record himself next to the car, or he would say on camera he has a car. And since he stopped, we can tell for certainty that he doesn't have a car. Do you know many people living in the US, especially in a big metropolitan city, especially the type of people who are supposed to like to hunt, who don't own a car? Relying on public assistance in some of these smaller cities is a death sentence. You can't get to your job, which in his case is okay, I guess, because he doesn't have a job, and Costco doesn't close until 6, so he can take the bus whenever to go grab jasmine rice. But it's again a showcase how poverty his lifestyle is and how completely destitute he truly is at this point, despite the entire LARP about him making hundreds of thousands of dollars off of coaching, as if there was even that amount of money in there, and as if people who hire him. His channel is completely dead, so there's no outreach. His reputation is in the gutter. Who would hire him? Look at him. He doesn't compete in powerlifting. He looks like trash. What sane person would think, oh yeah, that's the guy? Like, I'm going to pay that guy $250 to be coughed. No one would say that. It's not possible. In terms of the living with the sister thing, the entire family of Bloho is a mess. I don't want to dive too deep into that because some of these people are already dead, and I don't want to disturb the dead too much, especially for the innocent people who haven't done anything. I do feel for them because they were forced to be connected with Blablina, which must have sucked. Meaning, I feel for his sister that she had to grow up in a house with that loser. Because you know that guy actually dove through the dirty laundry of his sister. He's the type of guy who does that. And so they all cut contact, of course. She was nice enough to take him in when he was kicked out of the UK. And I don't know how long it lasted. Eventually, she managed to just shove him away. Some people say things happened and it's the reason why she was done with him. I don't have proof. Keep in mind that the things I talk about here are all proven, sourced with screenshots and videos. Anything that I couldn't really prove, I don't talk about, just because there's already so much to discuss. But the entire sister thing is interesting because as he was living with his sister, again, he lied about it, he refused to admit it, and it shows the type of lifestyle he's led and what he's always been, which is a dependent. Because if you look at the entire timeline of his life, he lived with his parents, then eventually some poor woman decided to marry him for some reason. Most likely she had a mental disability or she got bonked on the head at some point. He was a dependent to that woman because she worked for him, she kept him alive and not the other way around. At some point he had to go back to the US, so he was with his sister, and after that he managed to snag Moon Cookie, and he was sort of making a living off of YouTube plus the welfare money, and so he sort of managed to float a little bit, but still he was a dependent on the taxpayers' money and on the girlfriend's money. So at no point in his entire history was he a man. He was never self-sufficient. He was never independent. He was never able to actually pull his weight. He's been a weight on his family, the people who surround him, and the society he inhabits for 20 years. This is a parasite. This is the very definition of a parasite. He provides nothing of value, absolutely nothing. And you can cite the channel maybe, but at this point, why would you look to him for information when you can get the same info on Google because he just copy-pastes it, and there are so many better powerlifting channels. Off of the top of my head, Candido, Alan Throw, both of these are better than him. They're stronger than him at lower body weights. So why would you waste your time with someone like him, who is not intelligent in the slightest, who is not articulate, who just repeats the same thing again and again with a poor quality camera, a poor quality mic? It's just pure garbage. And at this point, he survives via a certain amount of tricks that I'm going to explain, but he is mostly being kept alive again by the taxpayer. So the lifestyle again of someone who should be extremely grateful to even be kept alive, but somehow manages to try and sell up his routine and his environment and make people believe that he actually is like sort of like a millionaire playboy. It's like he doesn't understand that we have eyes. We see the way he lives. I mean, he records in his apartment. We see the poverty apartment. We see the poverty equipment. At no point is anyone fooled, and yet he continues. That's because, of course, he is a vulnerable narcissist, and therefore he cannot really help it. He's going to continue lying about his life until he dies. But that's that for this whole situation. I want to talk about the Christian phase that he went through a few years ago. Because for the people who remember that phase, for 1 month, Bloho started to say that he was saved by Jesus, that he actually found Jesus. And that's also the time where he transitioned from the drama videos, which made up the bulk of his channel, by the way, and the only informational and the core code training. And when that happened, he claimed that it was because he was a newborn Christian. Of course, that's a lie, because every time his mouth opens, it's to lie. So that's, again, a lie. And the reason behind that was because he was seeing a woman back in those days that I'm not going to name, and that woman was a devout Christian, and therefore, because he has no personality to speak of, and he's a wimp and a simp, he tried to copy what he thought she would like to be able to score, and so he pretended to be a Christian. It didn't work, of course. And I say of course, I mean, he managed to get women that way back in the past, so she got lucky. For some reason she sensed it, or she might have looked him up, and she ran. But the funny part too is that when that entire thing completely fell, he sort of tried to keep it up for his channel, because it was the time where, and I don't have pure information on that because I don't work at YouTube, but I know for a fact that that's the time where there was a strong transition on the amount of punishments that were wielded on drama videos, where YouTube was sort of cracking down on it. The drama videos could be struck, you could get copyright strike for it, you could actually get your channel deleted, and because he's very afraid of losing his channel, because it's the only thing he has in his life, he actually had to transition. And the Christian thing was a perfect excuse. So it was 1, to get a woman, and 2, to not have to apologize. Because if he didn't have the Christian thing, he would have had to say, look, I was an idiot, I was making clicks and views because I was creating drama, and I'm moving on. If he had done that, it would have been sort of respectable. But of course, it's Bloho we're talking about. He can never admit blame. Never. If you find me a video of him where he actually admits to having done something wrong, then, I don't know, I'll just email you $8, because I don't think it's possible. He always finds a reason or a way to blame it on someone else. And here, same logic. He sort of utilized the Christian faith to be able to say, oh, now it's all forgiving from now on, and I'm done with the negativity. First off, that's not how it works. You can't be a garbage pile of flaming human putrid flesh for 3 years and then say, oh, I'm Christian now, I moved on. That's not how forgiveness works. Forgiveness is the people you hurt who forgive you after you've asked for forgiveness. You can't just say, I'm forgiven. That's what the Catholic Church used to do in the 16th century with the indulgences, back when rich people could buy the forgiveness of Christ by paying priests directly in cash money, so that they could just kill someone or rape someone, and then they would be able to still go to heaven because, oh, you're forgiven. It's that those days are over, and Bloho has never apologized to anyone. And again, I repeat myself, but for the people who wonder why I make those videos, it's because he's never apologized, and he is still to this day hurting people, and therefore he needs to be exposed because he's a terrible person. But so the entire Christian thing was that, and he kept it up like 2 days, like in actually, because he stopped the comment video, but if you look at his comment, he was still trashing Alpha Destiny, he was still trashing whoever he could trash, he was still being a prick to his subscribers. There's no better term, he's just a prick. He's just constantly passive-aggressive. I know that most people who watch him to troll him, I get it. But I know that there are some people that sort of sneak into the lot, or they're not in on the joke, and they think that he's a real coach, and they get talked down and they're okay with it. What type of pathetic, mediocre mindset is that? Just because the guy has a YouTube channel, suddenly he's your new god, and he can talk to you the way he wants to? That is way beyond me. But that's this entire Christian saga was this. It basically lasted a month, and then Bloho just moved on, never speaking about it again. And he's that type of, that the enlightened atheist. He gives off that vibe. These people who think that they're better because they don't believe in God. He is that type of individual, because this is usually the type of person that not necessarily cannot elevate themselves into believing into a higher being, but they understand that by making fun of Christians or Muslims or whatever, they are going to create a sense of moral superiority, because they believe in science. They don't believe in the God that doesn't exist. And Bloho was like this. He made fun of Christianity for how many years, and then when it's convenient, he flip-flopped and he was a Christian for a month. This is the type of person we're talking about. He has no integrity because he's not a person. He's an empty husk, and he fills it up with whatever he thinks is going to get him accepted, and it never works because people see through it. I'm surprised he didn't wear a cross during that time. That's typically the type of stuff he would do. We'll see that again, but he constantly tries to reinvent his identity, of course, because he hates who he is. And he went through insane phases. I mean, the Christian one is one of the least offensive one. Of course, there was the Stolen Valor, that was probably the worst one and the most common and the most well-known. But there are some that are least discussed and that I want to get to. But beyond that, something very interesting here, because he still does it to this day, and I've seen him do that very recently. Blahino forces association. And what I mean by that is, you know people like this in your life. You know the people who name drop, the type of people who are going to try and have them like you, have you like them, sorry, by citing someone that is influential or famous because they think that it is going to connect them and create a connection with their name, and therefore it makes them more, believable, more charismatic, etc. It's a classic, of course, and pathological liars tend to do that a lot. But Bloho takes it up a notch because his circle of influence is in YouTube fitness, and therefore the names he drops are names in YouTube fitness. And I want you to understand one thing. Bloho was the top dog of the industry. I know it's tough to believe for people who are now on the YouTube fitness where Afinex and Greg Doucette are the big men and they lead the show, quote unquote. But back in the days when this entire operation was still small, Bloho was at the top. And he got at the top with Nadia or Not videos, which, surprise, surprise, people with the biggest channels nowadays still do Nadia or Not. I wonder why. Maybe it's because it's the one thing that works. I'll make a full video about Nadia or Not explaining why they're stupid. But in terms of raw popularity, he was there. And if you don't believe me, go on his channel, go to his oldest videos, check them out, and look at the comments. look at who you find in the comments. You will find all of the top YouTubers of today. Omar, Alpha Destiny, the Golden One, they're all in there. And you know what they're doing? They're playing with his balls. All nut huggers of Blahino. And I'm not saying that to blame them. I'm not saying that it's bad. I mean, I do the same thing. Only difference is I comment and most of my comments are trolls. But that's beyond the point. What I want to say by that is, there was a time where the YouTube fitness galaxy gravitated around the sun, and that sun was Bloho's bald head. And keep in mind that everyone was sucking up to him. Everyone. All of the people who hate him today. And this shows one of two things. Either they actually got fooled into thinking he was a competent individual back in the days, or they knew all this time that he was a fragile psychopath and a liar, but they didn't care because he had all of the subscribers, he had all of the hype, and he had all of the clout, like Zoomers would say. Which I think it's the second one. I hope it's the second one, because you can say that Insight is 2020. I started watching Bloho when those guys started watching him as well. I could immediately tell that he was a fraud and that he had a problem and that he was not to be believed. So if they did not, what does it show about their intellectual abilities? Maybe not the sharpest, maybe not the greatest, and it also is a lesson to YouTube fitness as a whole. The top dog doesn't stay the top dog very long, and usually when they fall, they get exposed and they fall hard. Of course, Blahino is a case study because no one has fallen from grace as much as he has. No one. Remember that he got to 40 or 50,000 subscribers really, really quickly, and he's stagnated since then. Look at all of the guys on the side. Outside this team has 200,000 subs. The only one is at 100,000. Omar is up at 4. Adam checks as well. They are all way above him. They could aim to log him into oblivion at this point. Why? They have good content and therefore they grew. How bad do you have to be to get a 50,000 subscribers head start by abusing Nali or Not videos and still not be able to make it? He should be the plus of the industry right now. He should be at the very top with the Jeff Cavalier and the Greg Doucette. Look at where he is. He barely breaks 1,000 views per videos. How? How can you be so incompetent as an adult? Because understand that he is the classical type of person that was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. His family was well off. He was most likely set for life with a good education that he should have taken into something. He's 50, so he's sort of a boomer who was born when the economy was still good and getting a job and going to college was dirt cheap. He made nothing out of it. I repeat myself. How? I think that even if I tried to sabotage my life, I wouldn't be able to do it as well as he did. It's not possible. This is his one and only talent. He is the opposite of Midas. Midas would touch everything, would turn everything he touched into gold. Blahino touches everything he touches into crap, into turds. It's an insane ability. And I'm rambling here, but it's insane how much I have to say about the guy because he blows my mind. Forcing association, yes. Why did I start with this? Well, first off, I started to explain the entire history of Blahino and the fact that he was actually in contact with a lot of YouTubers back in the days. And then he fell off because he got exposed, his content was not growing his channel anymore, and all of these guys were just shooting up to the side. Imagine how much frustration and anger this tiny PP dude must have felt when he saw Alpha Destiny's channel growing. Because understand that if we're talking about nut huggers, Alpha Destiny was up there. Like, I like Alex, but he didn't delete his comments. If you want a good laugh, go back to Bloho's old videos, look at Alex's comments. This is bro nosing on a professional level. And Bloho was even talking down to him. It was quite a sight. Alex was still young back in the day, so we're going to forgive him, but you see that, you see the relationship, and you see how on a low level Alex was, and then he just blew up. And he blew up with what some would consider gimmicks, which I don't think it's true. I think the marketing was a gimmick, but it's the reason why Blahino hates him so much is because at some point, Bloho was able to see people because he was like, oh, look, this guy is looking up to me, ha ha ha, I'm better than him. And suddenly, Alpha just shoot up and his channel exploded. And now Bloho just detests him because Alpha has done everything that he wanted. He actually made a successful YouTube channel. And so all of those videos calling him a dwarf and a manlet, that comes from that. Because if you look at it, it's projection. Blahino is 2 inches taller than Alex. He has a smaller frame than Alex. He's weaker than Alex on most lifts. And some people might say, oh, but Alex doesn't squat. Yeah, he doesn't want to, but look at his numbers when he used to. He would be a good powerlifter if he wanted. And so all of that is pure jealousy on the part of Blahino. And across the board, that's what drives him through life. He started making Natty or Not because he was jealous of the people he was making videos about because they looked good. This is the entire hypocrisy of the guy. He was taking drugs back then. Just as much drugs as these guys that look good. But he didn't get the result because he's lazy, he doesn't diet, he doesn't train. And therefore, he found a way to exteriorize all of that frustration by calling them out on camera, and it got him popular. And he couldn't capitalize on that popularity because he got exposed eventually for being who he is. In reality, is just his real identity that makes it so that he just isn't likable at all. But that weird thing that he does where he always tries and be connected with people in negative or positive ways has been kept up. I mean, most of YouTube Fitness is his enemy because he made it so, but some of these guys were his friends, like Elgin, that guy that I forgot that had a meltdown recently, the black dude, Physique of Greatness, whatever, I don't watch his channel, Pump Chaser, I think, something like this, who is supposedly still friends with Blahino, even though Blahino But in terms of forcing the association, there are also people who are neutral towards Bloho. Because at this point, and it's the reason why I keep making these videos, by the way, some people don't know who he is. Because there's an endless new amount of baking that tend to YouTube Fitness, and since he's completely irrelevant, unless you look up his videos that expose him, you will never actually know who he is. And so there are some names that either didn't really have a good idea of who Bloho is, or that he was popular because he had a big channel with fake subscribers, or who just, were completely unaware. So in terms of meaningful associations that we can note, one that I want to talk about is Copenhagen, because there was a time where Eric and Bloho were chums, apparently on surface. And that is the trap and the trick of Blahino. Because you see, he doesn't really give a chance to people. He makes you his friend and you're not even aware. And what he's done with Bugenhagen is he made several videos about him, and at some point Eric, who I think didn't know who Bloho was, just posted a comment on one of his videos, and that was enough for Jason to try and misconstrue an entire friendship between the two, a communication, a connection, knowing, quote unquote, because I don't really know the guy, but knowing who Rick is, I highly doubt that he would be in good terms with Blahino. But Blahino created that entire timeline of we're best friend with Bugenhagen, and oh yeah, we share training tips, and he thinks my methods are good, and he thinks I'm strong, and wow, look at me guys, I'm an alpha just like your Rick. Which of course never happened because Rick, the second he was aware of who Bloho was, cut communication and just distantiated himself immediately, which is, it's classic, that's always how it goes. But it's so pathetic to see how desperate Bloho is for recognition and for fame that he will always try to attach himself to the big names. People who hate Bezos, Jeff Bezos hates Bloho. To this day, he still in his videos posts digs and memes about Bloho. He has millions of subs. Most of the time, no one even catches it in the video, and yet he still does it. Why? Because he detests the guy. Because Bloho has made videos calling out or attacking everyone in the industry, and therefore they all hate him. And I say all, that's not necessarily the case, because as you see, Bugenhagen was sort of roped in. He didn't really have a choice or a wood. But there are other people who seem to sort of know who Bloho is, but they are still in good terms, quote unquote. And there's a time A and time B when it comes to these people. I'm not necessarily going to name some of them because I respect them. I know they're good people, and I know they didn't know what they were doing. They didn't have the information and the cards in hands. And most of them have cut ties. But what happened was, some of these people were part of the, and these are big quotation marks, table of Koth that apparently Blahino had every Tuesday, where apparently he was on Skype with other Koth and they would discuss RPE, and you see the new paper that says that if you do a hip hinge with a 45-degree angle and then you do a superset with bended elastics, it's going to activate the neurological patterns for knee flexion, all of that good stuff that actually does nothing in reality. And if you look at the way, what it paints in your head, when I close my eyes and I think about the table of Koth, I think about two things. I think about the round table of Camelot with Bloho as King Arthur with a pink dildo as a sword, and all of the Koth around the table. Or I think about the Last Supper with Blahino at the center and all of YouTube Fitness just around him, you know, looking at him up like he's the Messiah. Of course, all of that is in my head and is in Bloho's head and in your head now because I just incepted it. But in reality, what most likely happened is that you would just exchange messages with these guys. And those guys were actually well known on YouTube Fitness. There were powerlifting icons, powerlifting Koth. One guy that I can name because he's completely distantiated now is Candido. Candido used to be in contact with Bloho. And the fun part about Candido too is that when Bloho was starting to lose steam and Candido was blowing up because he makes great content and he's an amazing powerlifter, Bloho was trying to suck up to him and he was like, let's collab, because they live in the same area. And therefore, Candido wasn't super hot about it. You could tell he was like, I don't know about it. And I don't know if the video was deleted, but there was a video where Candido was talking about Bloho and he was like, oh yeah, I met him once. He's a little special. And you could tell he wanted to say autistic. Like, he is autistic. Not special, not alpha, not Chad. He's not the tough guy. He's just, and again, sorry for the Zoomer terminology here, cringe. He's the type of person that just makes you uncomfortable. You want to leave the room. So maybe he does have a presence when he walks into a room, but it's because people want to leave the room immediately. One, to avoid the weird stares that Bloho does. You see the stares at the camera where he thinks it's intense and he's like an alpha male, but in reality it's really creepy. Or it's the stench. He walks into a room and the room empties itself because the windows cannot be opened wide enough. I digress. But the entire Candido saga was that eventually Candido was aware again, cut ties, it's the same story again and again, and nowadays they're not in contact anymore. But there were smaller channels in the powerlifting realm that I'm not going to cite that were actually connected with Bloho, that did not reject him, that sort of were okay with being associated with him. And those are the type of people that, similarly to me in a sense, like to troll, but they misunderstood what Bloho was. They thought he was a troll. He's not a troll. He's a pathetic excuse for a human being. He doesn't troll. Trolling is for fun. If it's truthful, if you say something out of jealousy or hatred, you're not trolling. You are just being hateful. And that's what Bloho was. But those guys didn't realize, I think, because they didn't have enough information or, you know, enough recul, as we would say in my language. They didn't have the insight, basically. And the thing too is that there was a contrarian sentiment growing too, because a lot of people, if they like someone, they sort of like it, and you say that person is a bad person, they are going to be the type of individual that are going to have a knee-jerk reaction, and they are going to like the person more because you were trying to tell them to not like it, in a sense. It's the same for behaviors in life. If you want to hear more about it, it's very akin to demoralization, where if someone has been lied to long enough and you try to correct the lie, they're going to actually believe in the lie even more. This is a topic for another video, but those people kept up with Bloho. They were part of his table of Koth, etc. I think they were also fooled by his strength numbers because he uses fake plates. I don't know if I'm going to get to the fake plates in this video, but I have conclusive proof and evidence that he uses fake plates. and I will get to that eventually, but at this point it's 100% confirmed that none of his lifts are real. But back to the Koth thing, the tipping point was at some point, Blowhole, again demonstrating that he, every single day that is made, manages to turn into a worse person, made a post, I think it was a Facebook post, it was where he praised the shooter of the mosque in New Zealand. If you remember, there was some deranged guy who entered the mosque with an AK or a rifle, and he started shooting innocent people and kids and everything. And Blowhole praised him, of course, because he hates Muslims and he's a racist. And therefore, the people who were still connected with him just cut him off and were like, okay, that's it. I think they didn't really know if Blowhole was being serious about the entire racism thing, and that sort of just pushed them over the edge, and they just stopped completely connecting with him, at least publicly. I don't know if they're still in contact privately. I would encourage them to stop talking to him privately too. But of course, I'm not about that. They do whatever they want. So they disconnected them. They disconnect from him. And you have other people that I would also classify as not being aware, like for the people who know Iron Lou, the strongman. I think he likes Blowhole because Blowhole hates vegans, and he likes vegans, so he likes Blowhole. Again, I think he has a black girlfriend. He really needs to look into Blowhole's history of just pointing rifles at black people, and maybe it would change his mind. I think he has other problems to handle right now, so it might not be super necessary right now, but that closes this entire thing. Look at how long that was. That was 2 lines on my piece of paper. 2 lines. There is a fellow Ment enthusiast in the comments that said that it was insane that there was enough material for 6 episodes on Blowhole. There is enough material for 15, maybe even 20. Look at this. Look at this coffee stained piece of paper. I started here. We're here. I did 2 lines. And all of that is brand new stuff I haven't spoken about before in these videos. It's insane. But all the better for you, I guess, because it means that you're going to keep getting episodes, and all the worse for Blowhino because he blows his top every time these videos are released. I really encourage you, stick around. When they're released, stick around, because at some point you will see the dislikes go up by 40, and then you see comments pop up, and it's Blowhole just in front of his computer just raging. What he did last time was actually interesting because he sort of tries different approaches. He tries to insult. He told me that he was going to sue me, even though he doesn't know my name. He told me also that he would send his buddies to my door for a friendly visit, which you have no friends, Blowhole. Who are you going to send? The stock accounts? They're not real. Please. The schizophrenia can only go so far. And in terms of schizophrenia, it was also at some point quite fascinating to see that he was posting the characters from Hunger Games, the Katniss Everdeen and the Pitna Millard, I think, which are like lovers in the show for the people who know the show. And he was answering to himself, like, I suspect that he uses those accounts to roleplay. And I'm not kidding. I think he comments on videos and he's like, oh, Peter, my love, I found you again. We should be reunited. And he did that in my comments. Very strange. You can go back, it's in the previous video, it's still there. And I know for a fact that these are his accounts. So again, I don't know where we're going with this. For the people who've been following his channel, we're entering what I would like to call the dark age of Blahino, because it's over. Like, it is now over. The channel is dead. Because I think he'll never actually give up, but it's always interesting to see the devolution of his personality as well. I would be surprised if he makes it another 5 years, honestly. Okay, all of that was, as I said, just 1 line. Let me check the time, because that last thing, I mean, this episode was insane.
What a bountiful journey.
Talk about it, but some of those revelations is what I wanted to talk about the most. Let me just check the time. Oh boy. Okay. 45 minutes. Okay. Okay, I can't. I want to say that last thing, but it's too long. The last thing is too long. So just for reference, Next week, I'm going to talk about this entire Jason Blowhole movement and the entire anti-Jason Blowhole movement, most likely, because they're the ones who actually expose him at first. Because it's so interesting. When you look at the timelines, it gives you so many information about who Jason really is, but it's something that is going to take 15 minutes to develop, so I can't start now. But don't act spoiled, because this is an extra episode of Christmas, so you are already blessed. Look at the date of this video. A month from now, there will be another one, and another one, and another one, and another one, until the work is done. Have a very minty Christmas. See you soon.